Good morning, everybody. It is Friday, November 6th at 9:05 a.m. I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. This is the Texas State Board of Examiners of Professional Counselors. We are meeting today by video conference due to the ongoing COVID-19 safety procedures in effect. First, a quick welcome to our new members. We will get to you in just a second in our introductions. For Zoom efficiency's sake, when we do introductions, I'm going to first hand it off to Christina to call out the names of the staff, and then she's going to hand it back to me, and I will call out the names of our board members, just so we can avoid talking over each other. So Christina, let's move on to number 2, the introduction of members, staff, and guests.
Absolutely. So I'll begin with myself. I'm Christina DeLuna, Executive Director for the LPC Board. I'd like to introduce Ms. Rayanne Long. You'd like to say hi? I think she's muted. Oh, there you go.
I am Rayanne Long. I'm one of the new staff attorneys, and I look forward to working with you all.
Thank you, Rayanne. And then we also have Mary Sokola.
Hi, I'm Mary Kay Sokola, and I'm also a staff attorney, and I've enjoyed being here for the few weeks I have been.
Thank you, Mary. We have Brenda Skiff. Not sure if you want to say hello, Brenda. Put you on the spot.
Yeah, that's all right. Good morning. My name is Brenda Skiff. I'm the Executive Assistant for the Behavioral Health Executive Council, and welcome aboard.
Thank you. And we have Patrick Hyde.
Morning, everyone. Patrick Hyde, General Counsel for the Executive Council.
And last but not least, for the board staff, we have Timothy Spear.
Good morning, everybody.
All right, I'll pass it over to you, Chair Hallbauer.
I'll do the introductions for the board members. Since we have some new members, feel free to throw in some bonus information about yourself that you might not ordinarily do. Occupation, where you're from, perhaps. I'm Stephen Hallbauer. I'm a public member. I'm a private practice attorney from Rockwall. Dr. Taylor, you're on mute.
Zoom, yay. Vice Chair, Dr. Christopher Taylor, professional member.
Dr. Bradley.
Hello, I'm Loretta Bradley, and I'm a professional member. And it's good to be here working with y'all today.
Ms. Brenda Campanone.
All right, sorry, Stephen. Stephen, you have to do this when you say that last name, okay?
I was hoping that I at least got it pretty close.
You did great.
Well, thank
All
you.
right, so I'm a professional member and just wanted to welcome the new board members. It's going to be a great experience for all of us, and I look forward to working with each and one of you. Congrats.
Thank you. Ms. Janie Stubblefield.
Good morning, Janie Stubblefield, and I'm a professional member.
Pastor Roy Smith. Did we lose your video? Pastor Roy, I think you're still on mute. Can you give it another chance? There you go.
Yes, this is Pastor Roy Smith. I live in Midland, Texas, and welcome to those of you who are new to us. Look forward to working with you all.
Thank you. Dr. Elder.
Good morning, everyone. I am Jody Elder. I'm a licensed professional counselor supervisor and LMFT, so professional member, coming to you live from my office at home in Dallas. I'm excited to be here.
Welcome to the board. It's great to have you. Mr. Garrett Nairn.
Hey, good morning, everyone. I'm one of the new members originally from Lufkin, Texas, out in East Texas, and moved to Dallas and went to school at A&M and SMU here, and I am a commercial real estate broker at JLL. So happy to be here and happy to get started.
Welcome. It's great to have you. And Ms. Vanessa Hall, do we have you?
Yes, hi, I'm here. So I'm Vanessa Hall. I live in Tomball, Texas, and I am an owner of a women's health and fitness facility. Go figure that in this pandemic, and we are still open and we're enjoying ourselves. I am so thrilled to be on this board, and I'm looking forward to growing and contributing. And I am currently in the airport headed out for my 24th wedding anniversary. So I will remain on mute after this point.
Well, Ms. Hall, it's fantastic. I'm glad you're getting to join us for just a little bit. And frankly, I don't care where you're going, but just know that I'm very jealous of wherever it is. So congratulations on your anniversary.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, I believe that's all the board members. Christina, I'm going to hand it back to you for recognition of our guests.
Okay, if we have any guests, I know I see some here on this side. If you guys would like to just, let's see, raise your hand, I'll go ahead and unmute you so that you can introduce yourselves. The first person I have is Sandra Martin. See, Martin, it looks like you may be muted.
Yes, I got unmuted. Good morning. I am Sandra Martin. I'm with Christian Counselors of Texas. It's been a while since I've been with you, but I'm coming with a new title and a new responsibility. I'm now chairman of the Governmental Liaison Committee. And so we'll be monitoring and covering and being with all of the boards that are under BHEC, which is a job just to gather people up for that. But Zoom makes it easier, so I'm happy for Zoom. So good morning. Appreciate the work that you do and look forward to seeing you again. Thank you.
Thank you. Catherine Bacon.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good morning, board and everyone across Texas. I am Dr. Catherine Bacon. I'm the legislative liaison, the volunteer liaison to the licensure board on behalf of the Texas Counseling Association.
Thank you. Then we have Dr. Melinda. And there you go.
I'm Dr. Melinda Faisal. I'm also work with Sandra Martin with Christian Counselors of Texas, and I'm on the ethics committee.
Thank you. Okay, then we have, let's see, Mario.
Hello, everyone. My name is Mario De La Garza. I am the liaison to the LPC board from the Texas Association for Counselor Education and Supervision. So thank you for your work. And I look forward to seeing what you all do today.
Thank you. And we have Lisa.
Good morning. My name is Lisa Konechny, and I'm here from the Rio Grande Valley. I have no position. I work at a high school, and I'm the LPC LBSW for all situations and all students, 2,000 of them. So I'm here just because all of this is new, and I wanted to just listen in on some of the rule changes and just to be kept abreast of everything that's going on. So thank you.
Thank you for being here. I have just a couple more. Next person, Tom Kennedy.
Yes, I'm Dr. Tom Kennedy. I'm the chair of the ethics committee at the Christian Counselors of Texas. And thank you very much for all the work you guys do.
Okay, we have Valerie.
Hi, good morning. My name is Valerie Machigamba. I'm a licensed professional counselor, and I had the pleasure of being supervised by Brenda when I was doing my intern. So it's great to see you. And I'm just excited to join you guys today.
Thank you for being here. And then we have one more, Patty. Oh, we got two more after this. Let's see, let's start with Patty.
Hello, good morning, everyone. My name is Patty Lawler. I'm in Sugar Land, Texas. I'm officially retired LPC. However, I'm also currently president of the Houston LPC Association, and I appreciate the opportunity to keep up with all the changes that are going on so I can relate to our area members. Thanks again.
Thank you. And let's see. Okay, we have Rhonda Kimball.
Hi, good morning. I'm Rhonda Kimball, LPC intern from Joyful Restoration in Denton, and I'm also a member at the with the CCT. Thank you guys for stepping up. Looking forward to the shaping of this system, the reshaping of this system. Appreciate your efforts.
Thank you. Patrick, if you don't mind, can you jump over here real quick for me while we hear? It looks like we have just, I believe, one more. Did we already hear Tom McCormick? I apologize if not, if we already have.
Good morning. No. Would
Okay.
you like me to wait till Patrick jumps over there?
I'm sorry?
Would you like me to wait till Patrick jumps over there?
No, you go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Good morning. My name is Tom McCormick. I'm on LMHC in Florida. I'm working diligently and for a long time now trying to get licensed as an LPC in Texas. And I wanted to join this morning to kind of get a flavor of what's going on here. I've sent everything off to Texas. I've sent letters.
Mr. McCormick, excuse me. We'll have time for public comment at the end of the meeting.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I apologize. I'll wait then to the end for public comment.
Thanks, sir.
I'm so sorry. I don't see any more on that screen.
Okay.
So maybe I'm back under attendance. So when I went to remove it, said remove them from the meeting.
Yeah, I think it's on here until you have to find like, so here you go. Oh no, wait, that's not right. Sorry.
Christina, are you just checking to see if we have any additional guests?
It looks like we have one more. Let me see. Do you mind? Sorry.
No.
I'm gonna have
Can we
that
move out
last
of your way?
person. Let me just have this last person talk. Okay, it looks like we have Betty Dawson as the last person to introduce.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
My name's Betty Dawson. I'm a licensed psychological associate, and I'm representing the Texas Association of Psychological Associates. And I'm happy to be here.
Christina, is there anybody else?
There's not. If you want to go ahead and move forward, and we'll try and do what we can on some technical difficulties that I'm having on my end, but we can go ahead and move forward.
Okay, just keep us posted on that. Thanks to all our guests for joining us today. As Dr. Taylor mentioned, we do have an agenda item towards the end of the meeting for public comment. So if your comment is more appropriate for the public section, please hold off. We will have time at the end to hear all of those. We're going to go ahead and move on now to agenda item number 3. That's discussion and possible action concerning approval of minutes from the September 11th, 2020 board meeting. A copy of those minutes have been provided to everyone, so please take a few moments to look them over.
Chair Stephen, I have a quick technical correction.
Okay.
Under public comments, item number 14, it lists Dr. Catherine Bacon as being representative of the American Counseling Association, and I believe that should be the Texas Counseling Association.
Catherine, did you get a promotion recently? Maybe that'd be a demotion. I don't know.
Okay, we will note that correction. Thank you, Dr. Elder. Christina, can we still vote for approval of the minutes with that correction?
Yeah. Chair
Okay.
Hobart, I move that we accept the minutes with the corrections.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion from Janie and a second from Dr. Taylor. We'll ask for, when we vote, please unmute, say aye, and raise your hand so that we can get that verified. So all in favor of approving the September 11th board meeting, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay. And Christina, I know for the record, you need that Ms. Stubblefield made the motion on that and Dr. Taylor made the second.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay, moving on to item number 4, the nomination and voting of one professional member and one public member to serve as alternate on the Texas Behavioral Health Executive Council. Our current representatives are Dr. Taylor and myself, but we do need a couple backups in case they are needed. And like the agenda item states, one public member and one professional member. Is there any discussion on this?
I'd like to throw my hat in for the professional member.
Okay. Any of our public members interested?
Reverend Smith, if you'd be willing, I would nominate Reverend Smith. I've worked alongside him. He's served our board well.
You're on mute, Reverend.
I'll accept that.
Okay. Well, we do have 2 candidates. If there is no other discussion, I will ask for a motion to nominate our professional member.
I'll make that motion.
And that is a motion to nominate Janie Stubblefield as our backup professional member to the BHEC Council. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, do I hear a second?
I second.
Okay. All in favor of Janie Stubblefield as the backup professional member, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. Congratulations, Janie. And now I need a motion regarding Pastor Roy Smith to be the backup public member.
I'll move that Pastor Roy Smith be the backup public member since I nominated him.
Thank you, Janie. Do I hear a second?
This is Dr. Elder. I second it.
Thank you. We will now vote for the appointment of Pastor Roy Smith as the backup public member to the BHEC Council. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? Thank you both very much.
Thank you.
Moving on, agenda item number 5, discussion and possible action regarding changes to board rules. I'm going to hand this over to Christina to kind of lead the discussion. If at a point we get, if we get to a point where we do need a motion, I will ask for one. But this is going to have a little bit of discussion to it, a little bit of background, and Patrick, please jump in if necessary.
All right. Thank you, board. So yes, at our last meeting on September 11th, we hadn't yet received the public comment from the governor's office. On October 27th, BHEC Council had their meeting. They did have that public comment back from the governor's office. There were some changes that were non-substantive changes, such as there was an extra "and" in one spot, or the letter was D and it should have been E. Those type of changes the council went ahead and moved forward with. But there were some, that is what we're going to be discussing right now, that they wanted the board to have a review before they move forward with anything. So this is in the material that was sent to you all. I'm going to try and figure out how to share my screen. So bear with me just a second, make sure I can get that done. Can you guys see the screen?
Yep.
Yes.
All right. So again, this is the material that you all had, I sent to you all with the information. If we want to just go ahead and start down the line related to 681.2. Go back up just a little bit. Where is it? So to number 19, so related to the recognized religious practitioner, I just wanted to make sure it was clear that language did stay. So I know that was something that we had discussed back at the last meeting. It did stay. So there was just wanted to make sure that was clear. Related to the next one, it was 681.41, D as in David. So the language that we need to look at here relates to the term immediate. I did send the board members some background information where the term immediate is used in place of reasonable action. So do you guys have any comment in relation to specifically this rule and the licensee having to take immediate action rather than just leaving the reasonable action related to this specific rule?
Christina, it's a discussion of whether we just remove immediate, correct? We're not looking to replace it with a different word. It's just whether we just go with reasonable.
Correct.
Okay.
This is Dr. Elder. So I did some research on this and found that in the American Counseling Association Code of Ethics, there is a similar mandate, and it just says that counselors claim or imply only professional qualifications actually completed and correct any known misrepresentations of their qualifications by others. It does not imply that that has to be done immediately. And so my stance, I'm eager to hear other board members' perceptions and experience of this word, but for me, reasonable action is sufficient, and I'm not sure that immediate needs to be there.
This is Loretta Bradley. I don't think immediate has to be there.
What is the potential risk? Reasonable is one of those classic lawyer words that can mean all kinds of different things. However, since it's not, this is not a risk of harm situation. So if the OOG is really questioning whether immediate is required, I'm fine with removing it. Is there any other?
If you'd like, I can maybe clarify that, but it sounds like if you don't need it, I won't throw my 2 cents in.
No, go ahead.
I think part of what they're looking at is it talks about if a licensee learns of a misrepresentation, essentially there'll be websites. I know as an attorney, I've seen websites that put out information about myself that I've had no contact with, and they just go ahead and say that I do personal injury law. I've never done personal injury law, but avo.com says stuff like that. And so I think what this is relating to is just because some directory, creates a listing and wants to try to create a catalog of everyone, and then they make certain claims like that. The licensees had no contact, no participation in that representation. And all of a sudden, once they learn about it, they have to drop everything that they're doing and immediately contact this person. And I think that's why they want to take immediate out and say, they take reasonable action. They can contact the people and say, look, I don't do that. And I didn't authorize you to make that statement. But the whole immediate thing makes it almost overly burdensome, I guess, on the particular licensee.
Does anyone have any opposition to removing the term immediate? Okay, if there's no opposition, council's on board with it, then if someone will make a motion to accept the removal of that, and we'll go ahead and
Sure,
vote on it.
I'll make a motion to remove immediate.
This is Janie Stubblefield. I'll second.
Okay, then the motion is to remove the word immediate and out of 681.41D. And so it will then read, the licensee must take reasonable action to correct the statement. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Let's go ahead and move on to the next one.
The next one that you have there is one of those that the council went ahead and moved forward with. It was just a duplicative of the and wasn't needed in this specific scenario. So let's see, the next one will be for 681.52. 681.52 for E. This specific one was misread by the governor's office, so there's no change needed here. Once we clarified what the rule was pertaining to, there's no concerns, so that one's fine. Let's see, the next one is 681.72. And this is for F. This here is related to the language licensure requirements that either match or exceed Texas requirements are considered to be substantially equivalent. So the question here is how to determine substantially equivalent. I have spoke a little bit with licensing staff on this issue, and what we may want to do on this specific rule is possibly refer it to the rules committee so that we can do a little bit more research on it, background. And this actually also relates to the military rule and the language in the military rule. And so if it's okay with the board, we're not here today to discuss like completely changing this at this point. I think there's some more research that needs to go into it. So maybe we can go ahead and refer it to the rules committee for future discussion once the rules committee has that opportunity to do some more research on it. What is the board's thoughts on that?
Christina, I would be fine with doing that. I do have two questions for Patrick. Okay. Patrick, legally, can you help me understand why the term match is not equivalent to the term substantially equivalent? They seem to be synonymous to me. I mean, we're talking about either it is the same or it is better than our standard.
So I think to go back, this language was taken from an initial board policy that was then moved into the rule. And if I understand the governor's comments correctly, which I think I do, if it matches the requirements, then it isn't substantially equivalent. It is equivalent. There's no substantial analysis needed. The substantial equivalency would be, I guess the best example I could give you is you have a foreign degree from England or somewhere else, and you're trying to determine whether or not it's equivalent to a master's degree in counseling in the United States. And so you have to do an equivalency, a substantial equivalency evaluation to determine, well, is this actually a bachelor's degree or is this a master's degree? Right. So there's some qualifications done there. But if somebody actually meets all of those or actually exceeds all of those, minimum requirements that we have, they actually just meet it. There's no substantially equivalent analysis that needs to be done. I think too, what this rule really, and if I understand better, what the policy was kind of about was, if you look in the statute in 503.3025, there's experience for required to act as a supervisor, and that talks about allowing out-of-state supervised hours to count towards the for supervisor. And so I think what would be really helpful in this instance is to go back to the rules committee and really develop out what is that criteria that can then, F can then be fully, F will be a little bit longer, but it'll develop out that criteria so that somebody can read it and know, oh, okay, if I was a supervisor in another state, I now know that I can meet that requirement. And that to me is what the purpose of that rule is. And this exact language in F is essentially the exact language from the policy that was put into the military rule. And if you look at, I think it's chapter 55 of the occupations code, really the point is that the code is really meant to allow a little bit of an easier pathway for military service members and spouses to get licensed and to count some of those. And so there is some substantial equivalency talking about how the board would like to look at past military service and how they would want to count that towards licensure requirements. So those sort of rules, I think, really need to be developed, and there needs to be a little bit more in-depth analysis. And so I would think it would be best for it to go to that committee so it can develop it. When it comes back, there'd be a more developed rule for the full board to vote on.
Mr. Hyde, this is Jody. I have a question real quick. I see that it is in the same language is in 681.114 regarding licensing of military service members and spouses. I'm curious, is that only in TAC, or is it also, is that wording directly lifted from the Texas Occupation Code, which means it's in statute?
No, I think that's just in the TAC. And the wording really came from initially a board policy that was used for those type of applications. And so part of what we were wanting to do is put everything that we're going to be using for either to grant or deny an application really in the rules themselves and not in policy. But I think what we need to do is really develop those criteria a little bit further. But no, I don't think that that's specifically in the TAC. Chapter 55 goes through a lot more detail, and I don't think that that is verbatim. I think we have more flexibility for the military rules, what you're talking about, the .114, and that one has gives boards a little bit more latitude, I think, to look at certain criteria and what they want to grant an applicant, certain credits on, I guess.
Thank you.
This is Loretta Bradley. So, Patrick, are you saying then that we need to have it more specific than substantially? In other words, are you recommending that it meet or exceed? I'm a little bit lost. What are you recommending here?
I'm recommending that this subsection F and also the military rule, the 114, those both go to the rules committee to fully develop the rule a little bit more so that it can create the criteria so that they can make a substantially equivalent determination on either supervisor requirements, supervised hours requirements for out-of-state applicants that would be under this rule, and then for military applicants that have military service records that they can use to potentially also meet that their service would be substantially equivalent to the licensing requirements. But we don't have a good draft of that done. It's going to take some time to fully develop that. And so I think it would be good to go to the rules committee to sort of develop that and then bring it back to the board for consideration.
Is everyone clear?
Do we need a motion on that? Because I like the idea. I think that if we go back to the rules committee, that they can give us better navigation on this.
If there's no further discussion, let's go ahead and get a motion to send. Christina, can we do them both at the same time, or do we need to do them separately? This and 114.
I think you can do them together. I think that's what Christina's saying, but she was on mute.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, okay. Then a motion to send this is 681.72F and 681.114, since it is essentially the same work assignment. A motion to refer these back to the Rules Committee for further development.
So move.
Second.
And Dr. Bradley with the second, correct?
Correct.
Okay, all in favor of referring these two rules back to the Rules Committee for additional context and information, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you. Motion passes. Those will be referred to Rules Committee. Next one, Christina.
Next one is going to be under 681.83. And this is, let's see. This is the one that when council went ahead, BHEC council went ahead and moved forward with. It was just the lettering. D should have been E. So that was a a change that didn't need to come back to the board at this point. So next one we have is 681.93. Related to the wall certificate. So if you look at the language in 681.93, A1 and then a capital B, I'm not sure if we really want to remove all of the language, but we were possibly going to, Patrick had a good idea of replacing wall certificate with online license verification. So it would be a copy of the LPC Associates online license verification, noting the dates of issuance of the expiration. So they still at least have that. That is what licensees will now be able to go obtain online, is that license verification document rather than the actual wall certificate. So we are no longer going to be doing the wall certificates.
Yeah, Christina, my understanding is that BHEC is just we're just not printing them anymore. So they're just not going to be mailed out. I don't see a need to have a licensee go online and print something out. So I say it's fine just removing it. I don't do anything with mine. So they'll still get the big one, right? They'll still get their license, but there will be no annual or biannual update. And they can just pull that offline, and there'll be a portal on BHEC's website for that as well.
Dr. Taylor, do you want to, I don't know if everybody had heard that change from BHEC. Did you want to give them a little quick background on what we did there?
Yeah, absolutely. So we, at the last meeting, there was a big discussion. Basically, Behavioral Executive Council just is no longer going to be printing off those renewal cards. So they're not going to go out in the mail. We're going to save a lot of trees and a lot of man hours, just a lot of time in general. So, so those just aren't going to be mailed out anymore. So this rule essentially is kind of obsolete. Now you'll still have the your initial license, right? You'll still have that. And so this rule is kind of also referring to that as well. But with the rise of telehealth and I think a lot of other things going on, and with just computers in general, it's so easy to find somebody's license. Do we need to have a rule stating that they must display the wall certificate? And then specifically the dates of issuance and expiration, because those will no longer be available, right? So we kind of have to take that part out, if not the whole thing.
Dr. Taylor, will the wall certificate, are you saying it will no longer have the dates of expiration?
Well, no, because you're
Like
not
the
going to get a
initial
renewal
license?
card. The initial, no, I think the new ones won't, because the renewal cards won't. I mean, you're not going to have a new renewal card, right? Patrick, are we still going to have the expiration date on there?
So the initial license obviously won't have an expiration date because you'll keep renewing it, so you won't necessarily have a date. But in the current online licensing verification system that you can go on right now and type up a particular licensee, it'll list the initial date of licensure and the date when it expires. So the thing you can do that would be just as the same as this is you can print out or just look at it online, and it'll show this date, this license is valid right now or it's expired, and or if it says it's valid, it'll say the date when it's going to expire if not renewed by that time. So it essentially does the same thing. It just, they won't have those mailers going out anymore. My thought was just to make this comply with how we're going to be doing things. But if it's something that you don't think is necessary that they keep in the file for the supervisee, I'm fine with that as well. The only difference, the only thing I was suggesting is take out wall certificate and make it match online license verification, so that somebody can just print it out or go look online and get the same information.
This is Dr. Elder, just to weigh in here. I have to say that I prefer to keep up with the expiration date of my supervisees' licenses, just so that I can make sure I don't end up with a supervisee who is practicing without a valid license. So for me, it is a best practice to have some type of verification of their expiration date in their supervision file. However, I also understand that board rules are meant to set minimum standards and not best practices. And so that may be an issue to discuss as well.
Yeah, well said, Jody. I agree. I do the same as far as best practice, but as far as a requirement, as a minimal standard, it's available on the verification form online. Do we need to require, that they have a copy of it themselves? And this is just in the file too, so.
Keeping the requirement in that they go on to the license verification, it does create that obligation to check it. So that it's going to be available. It's a question of whether we want to have them printed out and put it in the file. But I like having.
Yeah, but Mr. Chair, you're assuming that I'm going to print it out and put it in a physical file. I'm just going to download a PDF and upload it to my EHR software. I'm never going to print it out. I'm just moving it from one system to another, right?
But keeping the rule in there means that you did go and check it and take that PDF, right?
Allegedly.
I have confidence in you, Dr. Taylor. My preference is to change wall certificate to online license verification, but if there is objection to that, or if there's a suggestion on how to do it a better way, let's discuss it.
I'm always a fan of just getting rid of rules. Fewer rules, the better, I think. But I mean, I think it's the same, right? So either we just change the verbiage or we just get rid of the whole thing. I think the end result is really not going to change that much. So both paths are fine with me.
Patrick, is legal is fine with just a word change, right? To online license verification as opposed to wall certificate?
Yeah, I think that accomplishes the same thing as what the rule is currently stating. It just makes it clearer that people may look to say, if we leave it alone, people may get confused. And that was the suggestion of why we wanted to make the change.
Okay, so it's a clarification as opposed to a change.
Right, it's a clarification.
Okay. Is there any further discussion on this? And if there's not, I will ask for a motion on this.
Chair Hobbar, I'll make the motion that we clarify the language of 681-93A sub 1 sub B to from wall certificate to online verification.
Thank you. Is there a second?
A second.
Okay. All in favor of this change, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. Thank you. Let's go ahead and move on.
Okay, next one, let's see. 681-93. We are at G. G3. And the specific language that we're looking at is, so it says hours accumulated under the person's supervision after the date of license expiration may not count as acceptable hours. So at this point, the board should determine if it should say may not or shall not related to this specific rule.
Thank you, Christina. As I recall, we left may not in there specifically to allow us the ability to discuss it if an appeal occurred, to give us the kind of the legal space to choose to count set hours if there is a strong reason, for example, something covered under ADA, American Disability Act, or if there is an immediate death in the licensee's family, or in one case not too long ago, the supervisor themselves died and they couldn't get the records, and it took like 6 months, and it went past their 5-year mark, and that was back in our glory days of 18-hour meetings 3 days a week. And I remember talking to that woman in the meeting, and she was, in tears, because she had to wait almost 12 months for somebody just to say, yes, you can continue, we can count those hours. So my fear is if we move it to shall not, that's a definitive no, I believe, and that kind of erodes our ability to act on that if necessary. Do I understand that right, Patrick? Have I been on mute this whole time?
No.
Okay.
I'm in agreement with Dr. Taylor, having been in the applications and supervision subcommittee and looked at some of those things, having that as an opportunity for the board to review individual cases, I think is going to be important.
This is Dr. Elder. I agree. It is my preference as well that the board retain some discretion and the ability to count hours when that's deemed appropriate.
Patrick, I took this one as the governor was just kind of asking for some clarification, maybe with wanting some explanation about why we use the term may as opposed to shall. I don't think they're telling us that we really have to do this one. And frankly, the guidance from our professional members makes me inclined to say that we're fine with may, and that we do want to keep that flexibility and consideration for circumstances left in there. So it sounds like this one we're just going to keep as is.
Okay, I think it's very good to hear the discussion on this, because I didn't read the rule the same way that others are looking at it. I think the reason for this, and there's another one where it says may not as well coming up, is that in sort of a legislative drafting manual, they would typically use the word shall not when you're trying to not, that would be the typical language used in a rule or statute, because you're clearly trying to prohibit something. I think if it's the intent is that they want to look at extenuating circumstances or other mitigating factors in an application, what might be good is to potentially develop a rule that more explicitly states that, because that was not my reading of the rule, was that this was more of a grammatical change, and that they didn't think that when you read it, you look like you may not use it. So it in effect has the same as a shall not use it. But I didn't look at it as discretionary, a discretionary provision, if that makes sense. I mean, what it sounds like is that the board doesn't want to change it. So maybe we just need to go back with that clarification. And if it's something that's a further issue, we may need to develop a future rule that more explicitly states the board's discretion, or the board's, that gives the board discretion to look at other extenuating circumstances in applications.
Well, if we kept it as may not count, are we gonna somewhere else add in the circumstances that we'll look at for consideration?
I mean, that would be something we certainly could look at, and it could either be, if it's only in this particular instance, it would be, or this particular type of application, it could be a rule specific to this, or it could be a more broader general rule regarding applications in general. But I'm guessing that this is more focused on this specific type of application that we're talking about. And in this instance, I think we're looking at supervised hours when a supervisor's license is expired.
This is Loretta Bradley. I think I've served on the Supervision Committee co-chair since I came onto the board. And I can't think, and Brenda, you may want to correct me, I can't think of any situation in which we've counted those hours following an expiration.
And I agree. That's correct.
Mm-hmm. So we have not been counting those hours.
But Dr. Bradley, we've looked at them.
We have looked at them, but Janie, our conclusion has been that if the date of expiration has expired, we didn't do it arbitrarily, but we looked at it, and in all cases, we said, no, we won't count the hours.
Dr. Bradley, I'm sorry, I have to disagree a little bit. I do recall several cases where we have done that.
We've accepted it after the expiration.
Absolutely, yeah. There was an ADA issue where we applied Americans with Disability Act and extended somebody's license. LPC.
I agree. We did apply the ADA Act because we thought that was a circumstance, but I'm referring here, Dr. Taylor, about the general overall. I mean, I know there are exceptions to every rule, and we've tried to take care of that. And I know we did with ADA, and I think military exception. But unless there's an exception, what I'm saying is we applied it. We did not go ahead.
Correct. Yeah, and I'm not advocating that we leave this alone so that we can arbitrarily do it. I'm just advocating for those unique situations where we have applied exceptions and allowed people to count hours after expiration or retroactively with a renewal that was delayed due to administrative reasons.
And I think the reason that we did look at the exceptions is the fact that it does say may not.
Mm-hmm.
You were seeing if an exception applied. I think you do that with any rule. Is there a circumstance that's contributing? But I mean, we looked at this if it had expired and there was no outstanding or extenuating circumstance, we've applied this rule.
Yeah, I think my fear, Dr. Bradley, would be if we changed it to shall not, we could not.
I'm not advocating that we change it. That's not what I'm doing. I'm just saying that the may not, we've typically followed that. And I
see what you're saying.
We've looked at exceptions. No, I'm not saying to change it.
See, I misunderstood. Thank you for the clarification.
This is Dr. Elder. What if we, because I understand Chair Hallbauer's suggestion that we include or stipulate the situations in which we may count those hours. And in my experience, it would be very hard to enumerate every single instance. So what if we change the wording to something like, so hours accumulated under the person's supervision after the date of license expiration may not count as acceptable hours unless approved by the board. So that leaves in the discretion of the board, but is also clear that typically those hours would not be counted.
Yeah, I mean, it's essentially saying exactly what it's saying now, just with that little bit added to it. I'm wondering, maybe the larger issue on the governor's side is just that he just wants clarification why we're using may instead of shall. Both options seem viable to me. I'm happy just to leave it as is and kick it back to the OG's office with just an explanation saying this is why we use may instead of shall. Is there a bigger issue here?
I think, Jody, I think,
Go ahead, Loretta.
I think Dr. Elder has a good point here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think it does, as a member of that supervision committee, it does spell out something more specifically there at the discretion of the board. And that would allow the supervisee to understand that it would, I mean, I think it's implied it's going to go to the board, but her suggestion, I think, makes it more specific.
I do wonder though, if we change it to that, if we're going to get a lot more appeals, maybe not.
I couldn't hear you. I'm sorry.
Could you repeat that? Yeah, would we maybe get more appeals if we add that? Because more people would say, oh, but they will overturn it. They can overturn it if I come and tell them why I didn't make it to the post office on time or something. That would be one concern to think about.
How often are we getting these?
Not often.
Not very often, but we do sometimes get them. It's hard to predict. Brenda and I've been on this committee about the same time. Brenda, would you say it's 10% or less of the cases?
I would probably say less than 10%, but you know, I'm with Dr. Taylor. I'd rather just kind of leave the language as is and just kick it back. I'm afraid that we would, if we change the language, we would get an influx of people, you know, kind of bypassing their supervisors and saying, oh, well, this happens. And so let me go to the board. Let me go to the board. So, you know, that's just me, but I'd rather just kind of kick it back and help them understand why the language is what it is.
Patrick, is there any equivalent rule that that we could use as guidance on the other boards?
I don't know off the top of my head. I will say that in the language of this particular rule, it would only deal with supervised hours that are beyond if the supervisor's license expired, it's only looking at appeals of those applications where the supervisor didn't keep their license up, it expired, and then we're only looking at those appeals. So it's not an appeal across the board of all applications, because if you look, it's under subsection G. So the 1, 2, and 3 are all only pertain to those particular type of applications. But I mean, I think I get your point. We may just go back and maybe a point of clarification with the governor's office, and then we may need to come back and visit with you guys about this at an upcoming board meeting about, okay, well, they would like Dr. Elder clarifying language in it or something like that, and we could bring it back at that point, because it is also posed as a question. It's just I didn't understand, I guess, the board's intent even when I read the rule initially. So
this is Dr. Elder. So to answer Chair Hallbauer's question, my suggested language is lifted directly from the LMFT board's language regarding this same issue.
Okay.
I did some research.
Thank you, Dr. Elder. That's why we added you to this board. Okay, how does that factor into consideration? LMFT adds the additional language, the comma, unless approved by the board. So we're not changing anything. We are just adding some additional clarification. And regardless, we're going to get the governor's opinion on this anyways. So really, we're considering, if I'm understanding correctly, we're considering whether to just leave it as is or add the additional language unless approved by the board. Does anyone have a strong preference one way or the other on this?
I do not. It's essentially saying the same thing. So I'm happy to move forward with that. My concern though is that now we're going to have to go back through the rules process. Or are we adding something that's not substantial? Or are we going to have to push this back up?
Dr. Elder, was there any comment from the governor's office? Because if there's no change and LMFT may not, but they had that additional provision, do you know if the governor's office had any comment along these same lines? Because we're not really changing anything.
Unfortunately, I'm not aware whether or not the governor's office commented on that particular language.
Okay.
Chair Hallbar, would this be similar to those earlier rules that maybe let's keep it as is and then send it for review through the rules committee?
My inclination is if we just left it the way it was, we're going to go back to the governor's office. We will give them the explanation on why we like this flexibility. At that point, they may come back and say, okay, we'll let you keep your flexibility, but you do need some further context, some further criteria that you want to consider if you are looking at this type of situation. And at that point, it does have to go to rules. They'll have to work out what criteria to add, and it's going to have to work through the system at that point. So I think we have different paths that kind of end up at the same point. It's just what we feel like changing or not changing today. Does anyone else have anything to add? If not, I'm going to either ask for a motion to keep the rule as it is or keep the rule with the additional provision unless approved by the board added on to the end of it.
I move that we keep the rule as it is.
Second.
Okay. Janie has made the motion. It's been seconded by Dr. Taylor. All in favor of keeping the rule? So Christina, can we add in the other one as well?
Correct. That would be wonderful, I think. And it would be 681.
So we have
681-93H.
Yeah, we would have G3 and H3. So it's
H3,
substantially the same thing.
Correct.
Okay. Then
so moved.
Okay. I was going to ask if we would add to your motion, but that's already taken care of. Do I have a second on that?
Second.
Okay, Dr. Taylor seconds again. The motion is to keep both 681-93G3 and 681-93H3 as written at this point. So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, no change on those, and we will wait to see if there's any feedback on it. All right, Christina, next one.
Okay. Okay. So the only other one for the rules was the military that we went ahead and we're going to be sending over to the rules committee. And then that last one was the 681-205 for the schedule of sanctions. At this point, there's really nothing to do with this. What we'll have to do is we'll go back and determine what changes we went forward with today, and we will update the schedule of sanctions. So there's no changes needed at this point for this document either.
Can I ask a quick question? Sure. I'm just curious about the schedule of sanctions because I noticed that there were no CLAs or warning letters included, and I'm curious about that.
Patrick, you want to take that one?
Sure. And but before I answer that question, I would like to ask what we would like to do is if we're going to propose new rules, such as we're making the change about the wall certificate to online license verification. All we ask is that in the actual schedule of sanctions rule, it lists out a bunch of different things and that we make sure that the verbiage just is identical. And so that's, so I would like to just maybe make a motion that any rule changes that we propose, we're just going to reiterate exactly word for word. Because I think if I remember correctly, it says wall certificate in 205 in the schedule of sanctions. And so if we're making that in the actual rule, we should propose it out in the schedule of sanctions. But back to your other question, Dr. Elder, is there's a specific rule about CLAs and warning letters. And we also had a board policy on the consideration and issuance of CLAs and warning letters. They're not listed in the schedule of sanctions. And the reason for that is the schedule of sanctions will typically be utilized by SOA administrative law judges, the State Office of Administrative Hearings. So if we have a complaint and it goes through the administrative process and we have to prosecute it at the State Office of Administrative Hearings, they're going to look at it and they're going to, if they find a violation, they're going to look at that schedule of sanctions and they're going to make recommend a sanction pretty much probably on whatever that schedule of sanctions says. Now, the issue will be is depending on, it's hard to know what all might be in the pleadings, but the issue will be if the schedule of sanctions says CLA or warning letter on it, you make it, you make them go through this whole process in which the actual outcome might have been, something that's non-disciplinary. And so it creates a whole lot of weird problems. And so there are reasons why you may bump up or bump down. And so not only would staff have to prove the underlying offense, they'd have to prove all the extra aggravating factors to move it up and down off of it. So they haven't gone away. They're actually in a specific rule. I think it's 204, if I remember correctly. And there's a policy for staff to utilize those as well as ISC panels, but it was taken out. It's not in the actual schedule of sanctions rule. And I hope that answers your question, but if it doesn't, please let me know and I'll try to explain further.
Sorry, you absolutely answered my question. Thank you, Mr. Hyde, because what I'm hearing, if I'm hearing you correctly, is that staff and ISCs can still use CLAs and warning letters if there are mitigating factors that warrant a lesser disciplinary or non-disciplinary action. It's just that when it goes to SOA, we need a disciplinary action on the penalty matrix. Okay, thank you.
So we need a motion for 205 to change language there for any changes that we made today with the rules.
Okay. At this point, I'll ask for a motion.
So move to update 681.205 for all concurrent rule changes from today.
And I'll second. Janie Stubblefield seconds.
All in favor, aye.
He's working a lot, actually.
Okay, thank you. Motion passes. And Christina, I believe that wraps up agenda item 5. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Good work, everybody there. Thank you. That's some tough and tedious stuff. Let's go ahead and move on to 6. Discussion and possible action regarding changes to Board Rule 68173 concerning licensed professional counselors.
Okay, this one here, I did send you guys some information about the art therapy. One of the things that we had noticed was that, Patrick, was it administrative code or what was the 503.303?
Yeah, part of the comment that we received is that that association is phasing out their accreditation. And so the rule matches the statute, and the statute is 503.303. And in the statute, it specifically talks about programs accredited through the American Art Therapy Association. So that's kind of one of the issues where I think, I would typically recommend if there's another accrediting body taking over, that would make total sense to move forward with that. I think there's an issue with the statute. And so I think there might be a little bit more research that needs to be done about this. But I think based on their comment, they're in a 5-year transition. So it's not something that necessarily is an absolute emergency that would need to be done today, but it would probably be something that should be done soon, hopefully, so that you would not miss out on any people coming from programs accredited by an appropriate agency. But I think one of the things we need to look at is how is it, and we may need to reach out to that association, find out what is happening with that association. Is it basically dissolving? Is the other one buying it out, or are they just transferring it? How exactly is this occurring? And hope, and maybe fingers crossed, the legislature comes in and edits the statute and makes our job a lot easier. So, but it's something worth bringing to your guys' attention. It might be something that need to be on further agendas for discussion.
So there's no change that we can make at this time. This is just kind of on the radar.
Correct.
Okay.
So it's okay with you guys. I don't think we need a motion on anything. We'll just continue to have this on the agenda for a future meeting.
Okay. Agenda item 7, discussion and possible action regarding changes to board rule 681-114.
And
which
we
did cover, right?
We did already cover, correct.
Okay. Item 8, discussion and possible action regarding updates to the current Texas jurisprudence exam.
So I did send all of the board members the current copy of the Texas jurisprudence exam. I did go through and compare some of the some of the questions to current rules. As you can see, the red ones were ones that we were going to propose to possibly remove unless you guys felt differently about them. I did add a couple, just a couple new ones, as well as update the rule numbers, the language due to the changes that we've already done for rules. So I don't know if you guys have had an opportunity to review it. If you had any feedback on it, I haven't received anything by email from anyone. So if it's something that you guys want to move forward with or have some concerns or additional questions to add to the exam.
Christina,
Yes.
I'd like to propose, since we started working on this, trying to create some new questions for the jurisprudence exam. Maybe now that we have some new board members, we have a new pair of eyes and ears, if you will. And so maybe just having them look over, they might be able to add some questions on there that would be important. So I'd like to see that.
This is Dr. Elder. I just want to kind of, seek clarification. First of all, thank you all for the hard work you've put in on this exam. This is tedious. But I did go through and look at it. I found just a few spelling errors. So is it better to communicate those via email directly to you, Christina, for clarification? Yeah. Okay. And then the other just larger issue that I wanted to ask my fellow board members about is that now as licensees, we need to keep up with not only the LPC board rules, but also the BHEC rules, because they too govern our license. And so I don't know, is it appropriate to add questions that cover the BHEC rules into the JP exam for LPC? Because I didn't see that many that referenced BHEC rules, but I thought that might be a good idea.
Well, I don't know if that's a question for an attorney or not, but I guess my 2 cents worth on that would be, I mean, if anything that BHEC has to say, and it all relates to us, I mean, if we need to incorporate some of that, because what's happening now, as you well know, is that's the direction we're being guided to. Any type of questions we have, it's no longer what we had before. Now you go directly to BHEC, then you select the board. So that might be a great idea.
Well, and I also know that the consolidated rule books that are being developed are a fabulous resource. And I love that they have BHEC as well as the member board rules included. So I think that would encourage licensees to access that resource if we're also asking them to answer questions about BHEC rules as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I like it.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Ms. Campion.
No, I was just gonna say, I like that idea.
Yeah. Yeah, I only threw a couple rules in there pertaining to BHEC rules. I'm sorry, a couple questions related to BHEC rules. Again, this is y'all's exam, so feel free to send me any questions that you guys would like added. I'll do the background work on finding out where the rule is or, whatnot. But any questions that you guys feel is important for someone taking the exam to have a reminder or refresher about.
And Dr. Elder, I love the idea too. Would certainly love some feedback from those of you guys who are serving on that BHEC council in terms of would it be looked at that we were overstepping towards BHEC if we're doing that. But I mean, I agree that our members are under BHEC, and so we want to educate them and keep them in line with both LPC and BHEC.
Yeah, I don't think behavioral executive council has a position on that. It's just going to be more of those rules are overarching governing, so they're encompassing all the boards. It's mostly preamble, ethical stuff. The nitty gritty, the details, those are in our rules specifically. But I think it's fair as long as Patrick, there's no legal issue for that. I'm super happy to support that.
No, that's probably actually a good idea. If you look at the LPC rules, obviously their schedule of sanctions, your guys' schedule of sanctions is much longer, but there is actually a schedule of sanctions for BHEC rules, and there's about 8 rules. So most of those are general rules that apply to all licensees, and they're basically things about part of what we did was consolidating the rules. And so the notice to the public about the complaint process, that's a BHEC rule and not under each individual board rule, because each board is required to, provide that notice to each client when they come in. So it would be things like that, like a duty to update your address or display your license. That's a BHEC rule. It's not a specific individual, each board. It's the council rule that applies all. So there could be, I think that makes sense to add probably some BHEC questions, BHEC rule questions.
It sounds like a great idea. My question for y'all is, how do you want to handle it? We can submit ideas to Christina. We can refer this out to committee, but this seems like a no-brainer that these should be added in. How do you guys want to handle it? Do we want to refer it to committee for further development?
Can we do both?
Certainly can.
All the board members?
Mm-hmm. That'd be great.
I would just nominate Dr. Elder to do it. That's her
I was
idea.
waiting for that because I'm the one who opened my big mouth.
I mean, I don't know why she wants to make more work for me, but I say special committee of one with Dr. Elder to take over this job.
Yeah, I'm coming for you, Chris Taylor.
Okay, so if you guys are all fine with it, I don't believe we need a motion on this. Patrick, correct me if I'm wrong, but we can go ahead and table what we have right now. We will refer it out to the committee and at the next meeting propose some new questions and go from there. Okay.
Sounds good.
All right.
Agenda item 9, discussion and possible action regarding final order in the following cases. Christina, you will take the lead on these.
Yes, so I have sent you all the orders that today will be executed by the board chair, so Chair Hallbauer. Again, I will go over those cases by number, give you guys the opportunity to review it. You guys will need to make a motion on each, and then Chair Hallbauer can go ahead and sign it. So the first case is for 1061-14-0018.
Christina, are you going to talk about a little bit what the order says, or do we just need to say whether it's accepted?
Because it's not executed, unfortunately, we cannot, no. So yeah, you guys have it in front of you to review. If
just
you
need a
have
motion.
questions, we can refer to the attorney, I believe. Otherwise, it just gets signed.
You just need a motion, Christine.
So
Correct.
Christine, the motion is to accept the adjudication based on the case number?
Yes.
Okay, I need a motion to accept the adjudication ruling in 1061-14-0018.
I so move.
Dr. Taylor, thank you. A second, please.
Second.
Okay, second from Dr. Campanoni. All in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay.
All right, next case is going to be for 1061-17-0018 and 1061-16 or 1061-16-0282.
So I'm new to this, so help me out. I understand that we need to protect PHI. However, I am very curious in these particular agreed orders that the finding of fact number 3 seemed to have a fairly severe action on behalf of the licensee, and then the adjudicated disciplinary action is a reprimand. And so I guess I need help understanding how the two of those jive.
So, Jody, these are all cases that we've either heard in informal settlement conference or CRT is done with the new system. So they've either applied the schedule of sanctions, or I heard them, or Mr. Hallbauer heard them, or if anybody else has been doing ISCs behind my back, maybe, I don't know. They heard the case, so we went through the whole litigation process, and now we're just kind of like signing off on the work that whoever mitigated or whoever mediated this did, essentially.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Most likely me, though. Like Austin every week for you guys.
I'm gonna go ahead and ask for a motion that we accept the agreed adjudication on case 1061-16-0282 and 1061-17-0018.
I said no.
Do I have a second?
A second.
Thank you.
Pastor Roy. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Thank you.
Next,
Chair Habar, I'm going to abstain from that one.
Thank you.
next case is 1061-17-0184.
Okay, I'm asking for a motion to accept the agreed adjudication on 1061-17-0184.
This is Janie Stubblefield. I move to accept the adjudication.
Thank you, Janie. Do I have a second?
Second, Brenda Compagnone.
Thank you, Brenda. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Thank you. Next one, Christina.
Okay, we have case 1061-18-0048.
If you've had a chance to review, I will be asking for a motion to accept agreed adjudication on 1061-18-0048.
So moved, Brenda Compagnone.
Thank you, Brenda. A second. Is there a second?
I'll second. I thought you said you second.
Yeah, so did I.
Apologies there. Thank you, Dr. Taylor. All in favor? Aye.
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 Thank you. Next one.
Okay, next one is 1061 180184.
Okay, I'll ask for a motion that we accept agreed adjudication on 1061-18-0184. Do I have a motion?
So moved, Brenda Compagnone.
Thank you, Brenda. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Pastor Roy. All in favor? Aye.
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 Thank you.
Next one is 1061-19-0035.
I will ask for a motion for the agreed adjudication on 1061-19-0035. Do I hear a
It's
motion?
Janie Stubblefield, so moved.
Thank you, Janie. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Taylor. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. And then Chair Hallbauer, did I give you guys the 1061-16-0181?
You did. I have, I show that we have 2 left.
Okay, good, me too.
That's one of them.
Okay, so the next one we'll go ahead and review is 1061-16-0181.
I need a motion to accept the agreed adjudication on 1061-16-0181. Do I have a motion?
So moved, Brenda Compagnone.
Thank you, Brenda. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Taylor. All in favor? Aye.
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 Okay, last one we have is 1061-15-0200.
And one last time, I need a motion to accept agreed adjudication on 1061-15-0200. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
So moved.
Thank you, Janie. Do I have a second?
Second,
Who was that again? Was that you, Brenda?
Brenda Compagnone.
My apologies. All in favor? Aye.
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 Okay. Christina, I will send those to you.
Okay.
Thanks, everyone. Let's go ahead and move on to item 10, report regarding final orders executed by our council executive director. That will be you, Christina.
Yes, I'll take that over. So yes, Daryl Spinks, BHEC Council, BHEC Executive Director has reviewed. I'm going to read the following cases. And these are ones where it was exactly or pretty much right there where the matrix is. So there was no need of having other involvement. It was exactly what the board directed staff to do on that matrix. So this is for case 1061-16-0044. The second case was 1061-16-0045. And the third case was 1061-17-0170.
And I do not believe any action is required on our part for these.
That is my understanding, right, Patrick? Okay.
Okay. Any questions or comments on that before we move on? Thank you, Christina. Item 11, report regarding enforcement actions, complaint dismissals, and status report.
Yes. Okay. So I sent you guys the reports. The first one that we'll be looking at is the agenda item 11. I titled it A, is the annual report of enforcement action. Please know that there was another error on this one that I found this morning. So this data was ran from September 1 of 2019 through August 31st of 2020. So I just noticed that this morning when I was getting ready. So the total cases between that time frame that were open were 265 cases between that time frame. We were able to close out 367 cases during that time. 14% of the 367 were closed with disciplinary action, and 86% were closed without disciplinary action. You guys have the breakdown there in front of you. So I'm grateful that we can go ahead and start providing this data to you all. And as you can see, staff have really done as much, even though we still have a lot of cases, we've done a lot of getting stuff taken care of. We did hear 44 informal settlement conferences within that time frame. We had the majority of people that came to that was Vice Chair Taylor and Chair Hallbauer. So thank you all for your time on that. Again, out of that 44, 89% were related to standard of care, dual relationship, unprofessional conduct, and confidentiality. So, it's quite a lot for that. 7% of those 44 were related to advertisement, billing, and record keeping, and 4% were related to sexual misconduct. Mm-hmm. If you look at the second report, the status report, so currently for LPC, we have 919 open complaints right now. That is quite high. I know when we were with HHSC, we didn't have the staff really to keep up. I don't know the number offhand of how many staff we have right now for investigations, but they're pushing them through. Enforcement's getting as quickly as they can, but ensuring we still have to follow the correct procedures. So, we appreciate you guys being patient with all that process, but the new number of complaints again that we received this portion of time was 265 for this fiscal year. 32 were related to sexual violations. Let's see. 21 of them went to, of this set went to informal settlement conferences. At the bottom of that status report, you'll see the total pending cases. It's broken down by year of what we still have open. So for 2020 cases, we still have 199 open cases that were received in fiscal year 2020. The last page, you'll see we have 33 cases pending SOA, and you'll also see a breakdown of the years for those as well. The last page, the last report we have is the dismissal report. These are cases that staff have been able to go ahead and handle internally. So these have been closed out. There's a little bit of a breakdown for you all related to the cases. So far they've been able to do 15. And Patrick, I'm not sure if you have this. If not, I believe Alfonso's on, but I believe this is from September 1. This is what they've been able to do on the front end, being able to close out these cases. Based on, again, the board's penalty matrix.
And just make sure there was an additional one sent this morning.
Yes, yes.
Please make sure that you have added that one to the materials that you've been provided.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Christina. Anything else on that?
Nope.
Okay. Item 12, discussion and possible action concerning committee reports and approval of committee minutes. This is ordinarily the point in our meetings where we do have committee reports. However, due to the technical limitations imposed in September, we have not had committee meetings. And so we do not have our traditional committee reports to give at this time. However, we do have outstanding minutes that have not been approved. And so we are going to work our way through review and approval of those minutes. They should have all, I don't think these were in your main packet that you sent, but these were in an earlier email to
In a
everybody.
separate email. You're right.
Okay.
If you need me to resend that to you, let me know.
Okay. Christine, just double check, make sure that I address all of these that we've sent. Okay.
Thank you.
First, applications and supervision issues committee's report and approval of the February 7th, 2020 minutes. If you can pull that up and review it, I'll give you a few minutes to review, and then I'll ask for a motion that we approve those minutes. Okay, if you've had a chance to review, I will ask for a motion to approve the February 7th, 2020 application and supervision issues committee's report. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Janie. A second, please.
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Taylor. All in favor of approving those minutes? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay. Pastor Smith in opposition. Next, same committee applications and supervision, the May 15th, 2020 minutes. Please pull those up and take a look.
I'm sorry, Chair Hobauer, did you say I was in opposition to those minutes?
Oh, I thought you were, Pastor Smith. Was I incorrect there?
No, yes, you were. It was, my hand was just late.
My apologies. It must be that internet coming in from Midland.
I got you, no problem.
I will make that correction there. February 7th minutes of applications and supervision were approved unanimously.
Thank
I
you.
apologize for that.
Thank you.
No problem.
Okay, if
I was
everyone is
about to
happy.
ask. I thought you had like some strong feelings about those minutes.
If everyone has had a chance to review May 15th, 2020 of applications and supervision, I will ask for a motion at this time that those minutes be approved. Do I hear a motion?
So moved. Brenda Compagnone.
Thank you, Brenda. Do I have a second?
Second, Loretta Bradley.
Thank you, Dr. Bradley. All in favor of approving the May 15th minutes of application and supervisions committee, excuse me, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
If it pleases the chair, would it be possible to make one motion for all of the minutes since we've all reviewed them and no one has reported an issue?
The chair is open to that if that meets all procedural requirements.
Patrick, I'm gonna throw that one at you.
That would be fine if you want to make a motion for all of the minutes on 12. Yeah.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes from the professional trends on February 7th and the minutes from complaints committee from February 7th, May 15th, 2020.
Those are all the ones that I have.
Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Taylor. Do we have a second for that motion?
Second, Brenda.
Thank you, Brenda. We will now take a vote to approve professional development from February 7th and complaints from February 7th and May 15th of 2020. All in favor, aye.
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 A little worried Roar was going to vote that one down.
Thank you. Those pass unanimously.
Thank you.
Agenda item 13, the board chair report and updating concerning current challenges and accomplishments, interaction with stakeholders, state officials and staff, committee appointments and functions, workload of board members, and general information regarding the routine functioning of the board. I think the big item that I would want to update you on was our BHEC meeting last week on Tuesday, October 27th. For LPC, the main news coming out of that is that our rules were approved by BHEC unanimously. A special thank you from me to Dr. Taylor for his work. And the two of us had a long day that day on the BHEC meeting, but it was very important. And the key takeaway coming out of that was approval of our rules. So thanks to everybody that worked so hard on getting those rules written, all the procedural tasks that's associated with it. And it was nice to finally get it across the finish line. Thank you. Another issue coming out of BHEC, did want to update you that the council passed a motion that is going to petition the AG's office for an opinion on the social work board's non-discrimination policy. And we will be monitoring what the AG comes back with. This was, if you paid attention, there was this was kind of the focal point at that BHEC meeting. And we have decided that what the council voted to do was to seek an AG's opinion on it. And that's going to be something that we're going to closely monitor when we receive word back. Dr. Taylor, anything you want to add to that?
No, that's great. I think that's exactly.
Okay, Patrick,
correct.
Any clarification on that?
I could certainly answer any questions or clarify any statements, but I mean, that is a good general summary as to we passed the rule as it was proposed by the social work board, and that the social work rules as well as the LPC rules have gone to the register and should be published shortly. And then we are instructed by the council to submit a request for opinion to the AG regarding that rule and the rulemaking authorities regarding that prohibition against discrimination language in that regarding that rule, and it can affect. I believe the council also talks about not only just that social work rule, but they also asked about the other boards as well. And so it's going to take some crafting and some time, but we're definitely going to put together a good request for an opinion, and hopefully we'll hear back from them. I just don't know what sort of time frame that would be.
Okay.
This is Dr. Bradley. I need some clarification on this. Now, I thought that the information that the AG was going to seek involves social work. And as I'm hearing you talk now, is this clarification going to be extended to other boards? For example, the LPC board, the LMFT board. In other words, I'm asking, is the rule for other boards, or is it being sent for the social work board?
Great question, Dr. Bradley. Essentially, what occurred was the conflict with statute, right? So the Texas statute does not have a law to back up the social work rule, which is why the AG's office was recommending it be removed. We decided to keep it and are now seeking an opinion from the AG's office as to why we cannot keep it. And that is obviously going to inform the position for all the boards. Patrick, it looks like you're about to jump out of your pants, so I'm assuming you got something to add. Yeah.
This is Dr. Elder. So I just want to add a question, because the assumption, I think, was, from my understanding of it, is that the statute did not have that particular wording in it. And so the assumption was that the social work board was acting outside of their authority by having those words in their rules. However, under section 503.2015, which is statute, the Texas Occupations Code, it lists board duties, and it says the board shall propose to the executive council rules regarding, and under there, item B is the scope of practice of and standards of care and ethical practice for professional counseling. And so every member board has that statute saying that it is within the board's authority to set ethical standards and standards of care and practice. So I do not think that they were out of their, I'm saying that I think, yeah.
No, we discussed that at length at the BHEC meeting as well, that specific statute. That is not the position of the OG's office. The governor just does not agree with that. And there's no specific statute that says that this class of population should be given special protection, right, in the statute. So it's not a question of if we agree with it or not. It's a question of what the statute and what the governor's office believes that we can and cannot do, which is why we're seeking, which is why we voted to leave it in and say, no, we believe this should be here. But we need to get clarification from the Attorney General's office and also wait to see what our wonderful representatives did that all attended the BHEC meeting and voiced their opinions very, very vocally that they would like to make this a #1 priority. This upcoming session, and if they can get statute to reflect that language specifically, that would make our job way easier. So we would love to see that. But that's kind of where we are right now. So. And we even phrased it in a way where we said, I believe the exact phrasing was, "Why can we not keep this rule?" So that's citing 503, right? Of saying we believe we have this authority. Can you give a specific language as to why we do not?
Yeah, that's my understanding. Thank you, Dr. Taylor. Patrick, anything to add to that?
No, I think Vice Chair Taylor summed it up pretty well. I think that's, without going into all the nitty-gritty details, I think there's a lot of different statutes to look at, and Dr. Elder pointed to those provisions that the board, the social work board, as well as all the other boards have, and that's part of the question is, we have these rules that say that we can develop a code of ethics. The social work is unique in that it has a very...
This is Dr. Bradley. I'm still not real clear. Maybe I'm missing something here. When this was sent to the AG, was this asking for an opinion specific to the social work board, or
I think Midland's poor internet connection is extended to Lubbock, maybe.
Dr. Bradley, you froze up on us. If you can hear us, we're waiting for you to come back online.
I think if I understand her question, though, the answer to her question is that the request for an opinion to the AG has not been sent yet. It's still being crafted, but it will concern more than just the social work board. It will concern.
Yeah, Patrick, can you explain how the AG's opinion will affect us?
Right. I think what was the instruction from the council was to look at that specific statute that is in the Social Work Practice Act, and that deals with prohibitions of discrimination against certain classes, and then also look at the statute that says you can develop a code of ethics, and how is that not in line with, how is that not allowed under their rulemaking authority, but also, if there's something, how it relates to social work, why then would not other boards as well be able to have the authority to develop those rules as well? So
that's specifically what we're going to watch for. Their opinion regarding what social work has done, but also how that translates to our decision making for LPC.
Yeah, we even discussed, the possibility of making unified rules across all the boards. Obviously that's something that BHEC can do. That's something that will have to originate from each home board, but we can definitely propose language and those types of things after we get a response back from the agency.
This is Dr. Bradley again. I don't know what happened, but my computer froze and I had to log back in. I was asking a question. It was weird. It froze. May I repeat my question, or did you hear it?
We lost you in your mid question, so please repeat it.
Okay. I was asking if the information that went to the AG for interpretation, is it unique to the social work board, Or did this question extend broader and include all boards, like the LPC board?
Patrick, do you want to take that or do you want me to?
Sure. It hasn't been sent, but it will be sent. But it will be broader. The ultimate question will concern all boards and not necessarily just the social work board.
So Dr. Bradley, what we are waiting for is to see what the ramifications are, essentially, for the opinion will be centered on the question that social work has presented. However, because it's BHEC level, there are implications for our board, and we're going to see what it says, and then we're going to act from there.
Okay, so whatever the discussion was in BHEC then, was the discussion specific to the social work board, or in that discussion, was it broader to include other boards? I'm just trying to determine when it was decided that it would become broader to other boards. Was that in the BHEC meeting, or is that in a later discussion on how this will go to the AG?
It was in the BHEC meeting.
This is Dr. Elder. So I'm sorry, Loretta, did you want to add something else?
No,
Dr.
go
Bradley?
ahead, go ahead.
Okay. So I'm concerned about the broadening of the question that is being sent to the AG's office, because I understand, we all understand, that this is an incredibly loaded topic with very strong opinions on both sides. And I think that the AG's office, if they were allowed to rule specifically on whether this statute or rule were in conflict, their ruling might be different on this one than it would be a larger, broader issue of, are these boards able to make decisions based on standard of care and ethical codes? And so I would prefer that the LPC board be kept out of that decision, and that it just focus on social work and this particular issue and this particular rule at this time.
This is Dr. Bradley again. That's what I was trying to determine, how broad is this, because I think it should be specific to social work. That's the issue that came up. When you extend it broader, you know as well as I do how the AG is going to rule on this.
I agree in theory. I love that, but I don't think that's legally possible. That's kind of the byproduct of all of us being a behavioral health executive council, that we're all part of one agency. And since we're all very similar in what we are licensing, we're licensing our professionals. Maybe the attorneys know something I don't, but my understanding is it's by de facto that's going to apply to all four of us.
This is Dr. Bradley again. I guess I'm confused that an issue involves one entity and then it would become a legal issue if it didn't include all. So I'm going to defer to Patrick on this.
I think to try to directly answer the question is, the council already looked at this and they gave us staff instruction to ask the question to apply it to more than just the social work board. So we've kind of already been given our instruction by the council. This was something that certainly you could make that feeling known to the council, but the problem is we can't disregard what the council has instructed us to do. The other issue too is if it's something that you want to take an action item on, we can certainly have this discussion, but since this isn't really specifically on the agenda item, I'm hesitant to add it to that. I hope there's not any sort of, I'm not wanting to discourage the discussion. I'm just saying we can't really take a official board action on this without it actually being on the agenda item. We can put this on the next agenda and certainly make it something we could vote on. But there are now members of this board that will go to the council members and can bring this issue up with the council. But it was already discussed at the council level. And so we can't, I mean, I hear your concern, but we can't disregard what the council's told us. Now, to address that concern, I don't think that just because there's a statute in chapter 505, that is going to specifically directly impact exactly the way the statutory authority of 503. They are interrelated. The issue will be there are specific statutes in 505 that may make the rules that we can promulgate under 503 different, but it's important to get clarification. And I think that's what the council saw, is that they may give us an answer for social work and say, you can only do this, but then for LPC, you can do this, this, and this, because the statutes are different. And so it's important to get that clarification, because the agency wants to abide by the law. And so we want to get that clarification from the Attorney General's office to say, okay, social work, has these specific statutes that are only unique to social work. They don't exist in any of the other boards' statutes. And so what is the framework that we better understand? What is the framework we need to work in? And knowing that, what is the framework that the other boards need to work in? And are we allowed greater latitude, or are we allowed a smaller, lane that we need to stay in because of those differences? So that's really the clarification we're seeking. I don't look at it as a negative, and I wouldn't look at it as social work's decision is going to then, affect LPC's authority negatively. They're independent, but they're also all related because they all go through BHEC in the promulgation of the rules. The ultimate rule is promulgated through the council. So there's definitely some interrelation between them, but I wouldn't worry about that opinion limiting your authority, because we're talking about very specific social work statutes. I don't know I hope I'm making that clear, but I don't, if I can clarify it, or if you have a question.
I think you are touching on what I was asking, and I'll just ask one other question. What specifically did the BHEC minutes say with regard to this situation? I mean, did the minutes say that it's to be extended broader, or do the minutes? I haven't seen the minutes.
Right. The minutes haven't been adopted because they'll get adopted in the next meeting, but the discussion and the motion that was voted on was, I think Chair Taylor articulated it really well, and that it was, the question is directed at the social work board, but also then looking at the broader picture, as well as after we've answered that social work question, what about the other boards? Because we all have other statutory authority to develop a code of ethics.
Well, I'm just still concerned about it, and I don't know. I'd like to see the minutes on it when they're available, but that's probably going to be too late because everything will have gone on to the AG.
I think
Dr. Bradley, this is Daryl. You can always watch the video or listen to the audio. We can get that for you.
Okay.
Daryl, when do we expect the AG's opinion?
We haven't even crafted the request yet. So once we get the request crafted, which is probably going to take a while, candidly, you're probably looking at sometime next year, would I guess, when the opinion would come back. It'll be a while.
Dr. Bradley, is there anything specific you're requesting? Are you requesting that we put something on the agenda item for our next meeting?
I think it needs to be an agenda item. And the reason I'm requesting this, I've really wanted to see how broad this entire thing is.
Yeah.
And I think what you described, it sounds to me like it's pretty broad and it's going to go to all boards. And yet it was my understanding that it was specific to social work at the time it came up before BHEC.
Yeah, what specifically are you asking that we put on the next agenda?
Well, I just wanted, at this point, I would like for us to be kept in the loop of what exactly is going to the AG. I just wanted to raise this as a point of concern. I'm concerned that when things come up to BHEC, I'm concerned how broad this whole thing is going to become. And I'm new to the workings of BHEC. I admit that, but at the same time, I think there are distinct differences. There's commonalities like between boards, but among boards, there are differences. And I just was concerned about this issue. I did not realize it was going to be this broad of an issue.
So Dr. Bradley, you're requesting that we add to our next agenda
Yes,
an
I
update
think
regarding the AGs?
Yes, I
regarding
think
the
it should be an
progress?
agenda item for our next meeting, but as I said earlier, I don't know how quickly this will go to the AG and how quickly there will be a ruling, but certainly I think I can't speak for the other board members here, but I want to be kept in the loop on this. I'd like things to be transparent, in other words.
This is Dr. Elder. I echo Dr. Bradley's concerns about how broad this issue could and how it could potentially affect other boards when the issue originated with the social work board. I would also, as just a suggestion moving forward, I'm wondering if there could be just a permanent agenda item that is updates from BHEC so that we as an LPC board can be kept up to date with movements in that entity that definitely have, it all rolls downhill. So it would affect us. So I'm wondering if that would be a permanent agenda item to.
And this is Dr. again. I certainly agree. I want to understand and know more about BHEC, and then I would like a summary, a permanent agenda item, update from the last meeting of BHEC, or so that I am kept informed of what's happening, because obviously it affects us on the board here.
Yeah, well, Dr. Bradley, just like Daryl said, you're absolutely, all of us are able to go back and watch the video. So that's there permanently for you.
That's
so
true,
always
but that's
available for you.
That's an individual thing, and teaching at a university, and I'm sure you understand this, there's learning that comes from the group that you don't from a single audio. So I'd like to hear it in the group here.
Well, and you can also attend them day of as an audience person. So that's what I've done.
Anyways, Dr. Elder, I think that's a great idea. Obviously, board chair will give an update because he'll be there. But in lieu of that, it's probably a good idea to add that as an agenda item.
I could not hear you. Could Dr. Taylor? You faded. It may be my computer again.
I've added this topic as a future agenda item, so that'll go under number 17. So I have that written down.
I do just want to say though, just for a general statement here, this is a byproduct of what we requested. We asked for our own agency. This is going to happen a lot more and more. We are inheriting things from psychology. Psychology is inheriting things from us. Social work gets stuff from LMFT, et cetera, et cetera. We're all moving to get closer in line. It's going to take time. It is a progress. It is a process. It's a delicate one, but we're the only state in the country that's privileged to have its own mental health agency. How awesome is that? We got to work together with our boards. We got to push forward with this, and we got to be careful, and we got to be diligent. This cannot fail. This cannot fail for the people that we represent. This cannot fail for the public. Texas needs to stop being 48 in mental health care. We need to stop it. This is a solution. This can push us. This can push our people. This can help our people better.
Thank you, Dr. Taylor. Patrick, when the question to the AG's office with the specific verbiage is crafted, can that be shared with us?
I mean, when it is sent, it's a public document. It'll probably be posted on, I bet it's on the website. If Daryl may correct me, but my understanding is it's sent there. It's also sent out notices to interested parties. And then the AG usually asks for public comment on it so that they consider that in their analysis of the legal question. So this won't be the last time people can comment on it. They can still write to the AG on it, and this will be something that when it's done, is certainly, I believe, we can share with the board. Right, Daryl?
My intent is to post once the request has been submitted, I'll post it on the website, also blast out notice of it and kind of tell people how they can chime in, give the AG opinion. So obviously, and I'm assuming all of you are signed up on the LPC listserv that we have, so you should receive that. If you're not signed up on it, go to BHEC's homepage at the bottom of that page and get signed up, or shoot me an email and I'll sign you up myself. So, but you'll know it when it happens.
Thanks, Joe. Dr. Bradley, is there anything else that you wanted to ask about?
You're on mute if you're talking, Dr. Bradley.
I'm sorry. As much as I use Zoom now, I'm surprised I didn't realize I was muted. I guess it startled me that I got logged off a few moments ago. Yes, those were the questions I wanted to address. And I just encourage what I've heard from the BHEC chair and from you as the LPC chair, and that is to keep things transparent and to, I'd love to see what's being drafted to send to the AG, but not just me. I think others should see it too. So that sounds good.
Thank you, Dr. Bradley. If there's nothing else to discuss on that, I'll move forward with the additional board chair report. Anything else anybody wants to add? Okay. Moving forward with the board chair report, I want to encourage our LPCs. I want you to reach out to your professional organizations, questions and suggestions and concerns. These organizations communicate directly with us. I've already had a very productive discussion with Jan over at TCA, and I'd like to continue to have discussions with the other representatives of our stakeholders. This board is going to be one that listens. This board is going to be one that is looking to make our LPCs the best in the nation, and that's how I'm going to approach it. And I'm encouraging everyone on this call or on this Zoom, reach out to the professional organizations that you're part of, because your liaisons will get in touch with us, and we want to hear what they have to say. We need things that are concerns be brought to us so we can address them. I like to say that the board's role is to protect the public, but I think everybody on here agrees with me that part of protecting the public is making sure the public has access to the best LPCs, that they have top-notch professionals, and that's part of our role. We sometimes we're just viewed as the bad guys, and I don't want to be seen that way. I want to see us as champions for this profession and a board that is determined to improve the profession. So please reach out to your professional organizations. Please know that they have my ear when they contact me. Finally, I would like to recognize the 3 board members that have rolled off. Ms. Leslie Pohl, public member, Dr. Sarah Abraham, public member, and finally, Chair Steve Christofferson, professional member. I don't know if Steve is on this, but if he is, know that his leadership, his integrity, his kindness were incredible when he was as chair. He has some big shoes to fill. I admire Steve a lot. He did a great job for this board. He did so much work behind the scenes that maybe the board's not aware of, maybe that the profession is not aware of, but Steve was incredible. He really made an impression on me, and I'm looking to uphold the high standard that he set. So Steve, if you're on here, thank you. And that's my chair report. Is there anything to add?
I don't think Steve's here. I think he's at that Harley Davidson sale. the early Black Thursday or whatever it's called. Yeah. Black Friday, that's what it is.
Then he's living his best life, if that's what.
Unquestionably living his best life.
All right, so thank you, everyone. Let's go on to item 14, the Executive Director's Report concerning, well, just go with Executive Director. Go ahead, Christina.
Okay. Good afternoon. Thank you, board members, for your patience with all the board material, getting it to you guys. It is still a learning process for me, and making sure that you guys get everything and, you know, as clear as possible on how the agenda will flow, and the material flows with that agenda. So just an update, you know, we still currently have 2 LPC staff. The second person is still in training. My understanding, and maybe Tim will be able to speak a little bit more on it, but I believe we will be getting at least one more person. I would typically be reporting the timeframes that we're getting 2 more people, Daryl said. Thank you, Daryl. So the timeframes that we're working on applications, we now have that online on the website. So that's something that people can go and look at and see where we're at on processing, you know, the applications. Staff are working in the office, and I'm not sure, I believe they're working mostly in the office every day. Phones are on from 8 to 5. When the initial staff answer that phone, they are transferring it to the appropriate staff member. So the calls are coming in nonstop. They send it over to that LPC person. That LPC person will answer those calls or return the calls on one specific day of the week. So there's one day they're only doing callbacks. All the other time they're trying to work on applications. It is very difficult to work on applications and answer phones and answer questions and emails all at the same time. So, you know, hopefully this will continue to work. And once we get some more bodies in here and learn that process, the application process, we can continue to move forward. You know, and staff are still working overtime. Some of them, I don't know how they do it. I don't know when they see their families, to be honest. And they're working as quickly as they can, but, you know, they have to ensure that they're following the requirements, that each applicant is following the requirements by the rule in the rules. So they have to evaluate, they have to, you know, do all that. If deficiencies go out, you know, hopefully people can get those in as quickly as possible. I know we do have the ability to upload a lot of material now. That does help a lot. And I just want to thank everyone in the public and licensees. Thank you for your patience and your continued patience. We're doing the best we can with what we have, and we'll continue to get better. One big note, I just wanted to say that a staff member, Ms. Skiff, here in the office is continuing to work on the consolidated rules packet. Once she is done with that, it is going to be a wonderful product. So I appreciate her time and effort on that, because it will really help the licensees. Other than that, you know, with the reports we were able to give you guys today, that is an exciting thing that we now can provide you all. So I think that helps you all understanding where we are in the complaint process, but the committees, how we've been handling the processes, everything's been working pretty smooth. So we'll continue to learn and continue to succeed in where we're going. So I appreciate all of you guys.
Christina, I had a question. You noted that the status of the application processing is online.
Yes.
I'm on the BHEC site. Can you direct me where that is located?
Yes, I think, let me pull it up just a sec.
And by the way, you guys are doing a fantastic job. I know that you guys are working hard. So really, really appreciate that, but want to be able to find that data.
Sure. When you go to the main BHEC website, on the right-hand side, it's the third one down. Applying for a license and timelines is what it's called. When you click on there and you scroll down just a little bit, it's going to give you that chart of all the dates, and that's for all the programs, not just LPC.
Okay. Got it. Thank you very much. I was looking under that LPC tab, and so it's on the main page tab.
Absolutely.
Great. Thank you.
And another, just real quick, another thing, what had Daryl had mentioned, spread the word, everyone, all the attendees, sign up for email alerts. That's the only way you're going to be able to stay in the know of everything that's going on. There are a lot of changes, and it's the best. It's again, the best thing to do is sign up so that you stay in the know. We'll send those email blasts out and pass the word on that.
Christina, I just want to say thank you so much for all of your hard work and your staff. Daryl, can you give me your home address so I can check on your kids to make sure they're okay? Because you basically just moved into the office. And thank you so much for all your hard work and making all this happen. I can only imagine how just insane this transition has been. And for the public that's here today, because I know there's going to be comments about it, because I've gotten about 20 emails and I recognize a lot of the names here. Staff is working extremely hard. We're merging 4 different processes from 4 different boards. And there's a huge backlog of older applications. I think we were doing great work for a while as we were cleaning up after sunset, and now we're also helping the other licensees as well, and they're helping us in other areas. So if you don't have to call, maybe just check the online portal. I know it's tough. Waiting 6 weeks is not fun. It's not good. We are aware of that. I am personally coming down to Austin. Daryl gave me permission finally. I'm going to come down for 2 days, and I'm going to just start stamping approvals. If they meet the requirements, Daryl, don't go jumping out of your seat. Basically, just no. But I'm going to get in there and make sure we get a lot of that cleared out. I might answer some phones too, and just have some fun. But we're going to make sure that we get this backlog done. It's going to get done quickly. We're going to get all 4 of our agencies together in line, and we're going to be efficient. And if it kills me, we're going to be efficient. That's going to happen. So thank you, Christina. It is no fault of staff. They are working their tails off, literally. So please, if you call or email, be very nice to them. They are working. I mean, even during this pandemic, they don't stop. So just be aware. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you, Dr. Taylor.
This is Dr. Elder. I just want to add really quickly. I'm new to this, but having watched the MFT board for quite a while, I'm familiar with the work that you all staff put in, and thank you for your work. I just want to say I love that timeline of how long it's taking to get things up. That's a fabulous tool for licensees to be able to view that. So thank you for your work on that. Thank you also. I am so eager, and I will continue to sing this song. These consolidated rule books are amazing, and I cannot wait for all of them to be live and available for licensees and the general public and stakeholders in general. I also want to say this is my first time seeing this annual report of enforcement actions, and that's a lot of work to gather all of that data and put it into a report. And it is so helpful for us to be able to see where the trends and violations are. And this may be items for consideration for future board meetings. I'm not exactly sure where this falls. Maybe my fellow board members can help me with this, but I would love to see some of that information about trends in violations conveyed to stakeholders at their conferences. Like I know we have several board members who have volunteered their time to represent the LPC board at the TCA conference coming up. And this is the kind of information that I think licensees are just dying to have, is like, where are most of the violations happening so I can prevent that? So I'm wondering if we as a board could convey that information in the presentation.
I think that's an excellent idea. And, you know, there's a model, HIPSO, the liability insurance carrier for TCA, for example. They've compiled that and they really have a good format. And I can't tell you how important this is to our licensees to be able to understand, not only understand it's happened, but how to prevent it from happening. I think this is something that would be great. And I think when we talk to TCA, it would also be an important thing, because when we present at TCA, the room's typically full. Now, of course, this year it's distance, but I think it will be good. And I also want to say Christina works very, very hard. I'm very impressed with what she does.
Thank you, Dr. Bradley.
Christina, do you have anything else on your management report?
I do not.
Or executive director? My bad.
That's okay. I know where you're going.
Sorry, looked at the wrong number. 15, the management report and update. And I believe this is going to be Tim.
Tim, if you're there, you're muted. There you are.
Yes, I am here. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, members. I don't have a whole lot to add, and I don't want to take up too much time. Staff, as noted, is working very hard. What I want to touch on is how amazing it is what has happened in the last 3 months. We have transitioned from HHSC into and the Board of Psychology into one agency, and Daryl and his staff and the HHSC staff have merged as a team. And so this is an amazing thing. It isn't, well, we're LPC or we're social work or we're this, we're that. It's a team. And that goes directly to Daryl's leadership, and I really appreciate that. And it goes directly to the character of the staff of both parties. And so that's something I just wanted to touch on and say that was really amazing. I've been part of transitions since I started with HHSC in 2015. The first transition that we had that went to, there were two, one went to TDLR and one went to the medical board. The TDLR transition went very, very well. They were issuing licenses like 2 to 3 days after it started up. Our transition, we were issuing licenses the exact same day we started. So it was a very seamless transition where that's concerned. And there is no way to overstate the amount of work that especially Jennifer Nowak and Daryl and Brenda and all of the staff at TSBEP put into this. And so I don't have a whole lot else to add other than that we are looking forward to getting about 3 or 4 more months down the road and have stuff ironed out, because there is a lot of new stuff involved in this endeavor. And I think it's going to be terrific for all of the licensees and applicants, and it's going to be terrific for the people of the state of Texas. And it's probably going to serve as a model for behavioral health regulation throughout the country. And I'm really proud of everybody involved. Thanks.
Thank you, Tim. Are there any questions on Tim's report?
Tim, I was so worried we were going to lose you in the transition. I'm so happy that you're still here.
Oh, well, thank you. I'm still adequate.
Always adequate.
Okay, moving on. Item 16 is public comment. Christina, do we have a time limit on public comments?
Yes, we will want to limit to 3 minutes. So I will let the individual know when we're at that 3 minutes.
Are you gonna keep track of the time?
I am.
Will you do, when they have 30 seconds remain, 2.5 minutes, will you notify them that they have 30 seconds remaining?
Okay, will do.
All right, thank you very much. We'll go ahead and move into public comment.
Okay. Now, you guys did receive one emailed public comment, and that was from the Texas Association of Psychological Associates. So you guys do have that. And let me, if you, any members, attendees, I apologize, if you are interested in public comment, please go ahead and raise your hand through the Zoom process, and I will get you guys going. So the first person we're going to hear public comment.
Christina, can I interrupt? I think we had a gentleman at the very beginning, Tom something. I'm sorry, I forgot his last name. I don't want to be rude to him by forcing him to lose his place.
Okay, I will begin.
If he's here, if we want to recognize him first, if that pleases the chair, I don't want to step.
Tom McCormick, correct? Was that correct? Tom McCormick?
Tom McCormick, yeah, that was it. Tom McCormick, yeah.
And just a real quick note for all the attendees, I'll go through the individuals who are signed in through Zoom, then I'll go to the phones and go ahead and open it. And if you'd like to speak for public comment, you can. Otherwise, you can just say don't want to. And then also just everyone know we cannot speak on specific cases. So this is just a public comment where you can provide your comment to the board, but we cannot get into, case review or anything like that. So we will first hear from Tom McCormick, and let me unmute you. All right, Mr. McCormick, I think you're muted on, there you go.
There I go. Good morning. My name is Thomas McCormick. I am a Navy veteran of 32 years. I have applied with the state of Florida for licensure. I've been licensed in the state of Texas for, I just didn't want to misspeak that. I've applied to the state of Texas. I was licensed and still am in the state of Florida for the last 28 years. And I was in the Navy for 32 years. So I'm planning on relocating with my family to Texas. The issues I'm having though, are that it's very difficult to get through the process in Texas currently. And I understand the COVID situation and what a problem that has created. But I'm at the point now where it's impossible to reach anyone by phone. It's almost impossible to have emails answered. I think my last email that got answered was almost 2 months ago. I did submit, I don't know if you got an email from me, but I did submit an email to the board at the email address that you gave me, kind of outlining that situation. So I'm just kind of at a loss of what I can do at this point. I honestly think that there's been an error where they're treating me as someone who's never been licensed anywhere else and wanting to apply to the state of Texas for a license. Some of the things that they're asking me to do and some of the things that, for instance, they want to know when I graduated from my master's program, and that is something that was on my transcripts that I sent to them. They came back and asked that question again. I went for my Providence College and asked them where could they find that. They sent them the transcripts and it's in the upper right-hand corner, and they told me that a lot of times people just miss those things. On the phone, I could clear that up with somebody in about 2 seconds. Trying to get, I don't deal with the same person all the time. It's a very, very difficult process right now. Would the board have a recommendation of who exactly I could speak to?
Mr. McCormick, I'll go ahead and reach out to you directly. Can you just clarify what license are you applying for?
LPC.
Okay, I will reach out to you. I will look for emails and get in touch with you and further review this situation.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Sure.
Can I make one other quick comment?
You have 10 seconds.
Okay, on the proceedings this morning, I was shocked because in the state of Florida, we're required to have a copy of our license, a current license in our office, so that if somebody comes in to see us for services, they know that we are currently licensed. So I was just a little concerned about the idea of not having that on display. Sorry, different laws in Florida. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good one. Okay, the next person is going to be Dr. Bob.
Chair, if I can respond to that,
Sorry.
it's okay. Mr. McCormick, I'm actually a native son of Florida, so I appreciate their rules all the same. That was a different rule that we were talking about. That was in the packet for supervision, not what's hanging on the wall. I also want to thank you for your service. My brother is a SWO officer with 6th Fleet, so thank you for what you're doing and what you've done.
Thank you. All right, the next public comment will be from Dr. Robert Franklin.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much. I just wanted, there's only 2 points that I wanted to comment on. One was I wanted to definitely support the board in continuing their strive to create ethical rules that are in alignment with our profession as well, seeking out things like TCA and ACA. So I'm glad that this is an ongoing conversation that we're going to adhere to versus something that could go elsewhere. The second point I wanted to ask was, I have a number of LPC associates I personally supervise, and then I've read online during a lot of forums that they're trying to be very curious about when they can use the term LPC associate. So that's still ongoing, and I don't know when the board or when the state is going to issue out any formal guidance on that, because a lot of interns, associates are just confused at this point, and even us as supervisors, we don't have any clear guidance as well. So if that could be looked into, that would be helpful as well. And then I apologize, I do have one last point. The matrix on the website regarding where the licensing is at, I'm not 100% sure if it's accurate. And the reason why I say that is because I had a licensee apply and I signed back in August, and it says it's applying applications in October now. And we've received no correspondence. So I just wanted to give that feedback, not to say it's not accurate, but from my personal experience, I'm really on top of those things. And so just something for a knowledge piece for the board. I appreciate your time and your service. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Franklin. Actually, Christina, when are we going to post the go ahead for associate? Because I mean, it's an official rule now, but it still has to sit for its. Go ahead, Patrick. You know the answer.
It's been sent to the register, and it takes about 2 weeks. They review it, check for typos, then publish it. And Brenda Skiff knows the exact date of the publication. I just don't. It should be published sometime probably this month in November, and then it usually it is effective, a few days after that. So the publication date will say the official start date of it, but I mean it's we're talking about weeks here. I'm trying to look up right now to see when that date is, but I don't have it for you. But if I find it, I'll let you know.
I can't remember the date, but I think it's mid-month.
Sounds right.
So we're almost there. We're almost there.
And while I would never tell anybody to break a rule, I mean, I don't know what would happen. You know what I mean?
Almost official.
Nobody's gonna yell at you for calling yourself an associate at this point, I think. But we're not there yet, so don't do it.
Almost there.
Almost there.
All right, next person we have is Rhonda Kimball.
Hi, everyone. Thanks again for stepping up. I just want to go over a couple of things. I sent some remarks into the general bhec.texas.gov regarding the discrimination issue, and I wanted to weigh in because I heard it's really hard as a guest to gather your positions on things, and I'm sure it's because you all know each other and you talk, but as your guest, it'd be nice if you would initially state your positions on these things. And I think it's better to be on the ground floor of an argument where you know it's going to be a broad scope. taking in all the different boards. I would rather have, as a new board, you guys getting all together and presenting yourself at the ground floor in the arguments of the social workers, so that it doesn't just spill over, so we're not victimized, and so someone else is not defining our profession. It really concerns me. So I don't know if any of you got my remarks. I didn't get any kind of acknowledgement. So is that an unrealistic expectation to get an acknowledgement from any of you, or maybe you can help me out with that? I just don't want it to go into the abyss, because I did spend time gathering my thoughts. And
you said you emailed that, Ms.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
I'll follow up on that. I did not, I must have missed that one.
Okay.
So I'll make sure that that does get to the board members for their review.
Okay, good. It's a doozy, so you'd know it if you saw it. Anyway, I'm so glad that you all came together as a board, but the voice you're missing is the intern or associate voice. And there are different issues, like not being able to receive payment directly, having to put our supervisor's name as big as ours when we pay for advertisement, no insurance panel opportunity to make our opportunity to make income is so little. And we have the same student loans and other obligations as many of the LPCs do. So there might need to be a reconsideration of all these rules on these associates, me being one of them. I'm just probably a little bit older than most of them. Also, part of the licensing process when we're dealing with other states, I had a 40-year-old cosmetology license, real estate license, teaching credential from California.
Oh God, what? Oh God, what
So I
happened?
did not provide that. Is it time?
Yep. I'm sorry. You have 20 seconds. My screen.
Okay, I'm sorry. So California did not provide the information I was being asked for. It was delayed, and it was just this mess and this fight that I had to do to even get my license that had nothing to do with California. I was getting licensed in Texas, and I have my master's, passed my test. So those kind of rules, I would love to be reassessed. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Vice Chair Taylor, if I could answer your question, I just looked it up. It looks like November 19th is going to be the effective date for all of the new LPC rule changes. And so things should change to associate officially on the 19th.
Muted. Thank you, Sue. And that's also when you will not have to have the supervisor in the same exact type and font either. So that rule is already adjusted. So that'll be great. They just have to be similar, not identical.
Okay, next public comment is Betty Dawson.
Yes, good morning. I am actually here to object to the change in title to associate on anti-competitive grounds. We have sent a letter. I don't know if you all have had time to read it. I will not go over all the points that we make, but we have been called licensed psychological associates for many, many years. We are fully licensed, have a great deal of experience. And we feel like that this is going to create a lot of ambiguity with your early practicing licensees who are still under supervision. And it's going to impact our ability to be reimbursed, to just compete in the marketplace. So we are asking that you actually consider our objection and perhaps look at changing that title to something else. We're not trying to, tell you what to call any of your licensees, but we do kind of object to the use of the title associate for people who are still not completely independently practicing. So if you have any questions or anything, I'd be happy to answer them, but we are asking for your reconsideration of that title.
Thank you. Okay, next person is Sandra Martin.
Again, good morning. I certainly agree. I'll say this with the concern that has been expressed about how broad exactly that ruling from the Attorney General is going to be in terms of which boards need to change and which ones don't. But since that question hasn't even been broached yet to the Attorney General, that's kind of on hold, and I'll save my heavy weight for that time to comment. But I do want to say this. I observed early in the meeting that one of our rules under consideration was held up to an ACA rule for comparison. I'm sure that ACA is a very fine association, but it is my understanding that we are about the business of aligning our rules with Texas statutes, not with ACA rules. That distinction is a very, very important one for Christian Counselors of Texas. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next one, it says Hill. LPC Hill.
Good morning. Good morning. I am so excited to see you guys. Well, fabulous job. You're doing a fabulous job. I am an LPC supervisor, and I have two comments. I so appreciate the update that you guys provided us about the process for reviewing complaints. I hope to hear something soon. I've been waiting since April 2019 for a resolution of one for myself that someone placed on me. In addition, I wondered whether or not you could make an agenda item or at some point give some clarity on whether or not this Zoom flow that we're going with now, does it still allow for us to, or the licensees to attend I think it's the complaints committee meetings so that CEUs can be given for ethics? So just looking for some clarity on that opportunity. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Christina, correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't we stop issuing CEs for attending the ethics committee?
We did.
That was a directive from Sunset or BHEC? I can't remember.
I'm not sure. I think it was Sunset because it was a while ago.
Yeah, something about offering an unfair geographical advantage.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, yeah.
Next one.
This is Dr. Bradley. I remember that it was Sunset because it affected us in terms of CE credits.
Next person we have is Carmen Stein.
Hello, and I am also from Florida. I moved to Texas, being licensed in Florida since 1989, which is many years, I think over 31. And I do have to tell you, I was very pleasantly surprised how quickly I got my LPCs in Texas. So that was great. But then the problem I ran into was the supervisory credentials. I've also been a supervisor in Florida for many, many years. So I followed through. I took the $600 class and paid the $100 administrative fee to get all that done back in February. And then I ran into the problems that I wasn't getting any response. And I think this was like before the corona. So I called Florida and I said, have you guys sent all my information? This was about 3 months ago. And they told me that on June 23rd, they sent an email. Then on July 30th, they sent another email. So a lot of emails are sitting here someplace in Texas showing that I have been a supervisor in Florida, and I took the course and I paid my money and nothing's happening. I can't get anybody to email me, even though I do send an email almost every week just to say, can you please just give me a status? The issue that I'm having with that part of my job description or part of the job I need to do where I work at the university is to supervise some of the junior faculty, and I'm unable to do that without that S credential. So I don't know what to do next.
Ms. Stein, I'll look into it and get back to you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, and it looks like the last Zoom person we have is Mario.
Good morning, everyone. This is Mario de la Garza. I'm the liaison to the board for the Texas Association for Counselor Education and Supervision. First of all, thank you so much for all of the work that you did and going over all of those rules. I know that is a lot of tedious work, so thank you for all of that. And Christina, for you and your staff, thank you so much for what you're doing. I had a couple of comments. I also wanted to welcome the new board members who are new to the board. It'll be good to see you work and to come onto this board. Chair Hallbauer mentioned a bit earlier about being open and willing to listen to the associations, and so I so much appreciate that he's already met with Jan Freese of Texas Counseling Association. I guess my question is, it was my understanding that we cannot reach out to board members individually because you cannot comment unless you're meeting as a board and things of that nature. So my question is, and I want clarification as to exactly how would you like the associations to contact you and to provide you with input from the stakeholders that we have in our associations? How would you like us to voice concerns that we have? Do we send those to Christina? Do we send those to you? How exactly do you want us to approach you and to get information to you? So that's my first question. And then I have another question, or I guess for Christina, what Dr. Elder mentioned here, the annual report of enforcement actions is wonderful. And I know that on the old board website, if you did some digging around, you could find the sanctions and numbers of sanctions and things like that, but it took some digging around. So is this annual report something that will be on the website or something that I just haven't found on the website quite yet? Because it would be wonderful to have that for our ethics courses, as well as as a counselor educator. I would really like to talk to my students, even first-year students, about this is what the board sees in terms of complaints, so that I can already start talking to them about these are the rules that you need to pay attention to, as well as the ethical codes that are most important. I think that would be great for counselor educators and supervisors. So anyway, where is that public? Can it be made public? If not, please let me know. And then also, again, for just how do we communicate with you for our stakeholders?
I'm just going to answer real quick. Yeah, you will send that material to me. It would not go directly to board members. I will distribute that out to the board members. And my understanding is it will be public information, probably posted to the website. I don't think I had it ready in time to be posted prior to the meeting, but I do. My understanding is that it is public information.
Okay, so and that's on the annual report of enforcement actions, but what you're saying is you want us as organizations to email you directly, Christina, if we have concerns or issues that come up from our stakeholders, and then you will pass those on to the board.
That is correct. That is correct.
Thank you so much, and thank you all for your work.
Thank you. It looks like
Mario, just to add on to that, I will take direction from Christina on when I receive information, I'll take direction from her over what is the appropriate communication method for getting in touch with you. I like this to be an open board. I also want to follow the rules and the procedures that we do have in place. So I will take my instructions from her. But if she says, please feel free to reach out to him directly, then I will do so. And if maybe it's me, or maybe it's we have to follow the rules, but I will take my direction from her.
I appreciate that. I'm a rule follower as well.
Thanks, Mario.
Thank you, Mario. Looks like we have one more new person. Looks like Olivia. Olivia, looks like you are muted on your side. Let me see. Olivia, would you like to do public comment? If so, you are muted on your side. Okay. We're gonna go, looks like I only have one person on the phone. Let me see if this person would like. Caller, I just unmuted you. Are you interested in public comment?
Yes, hello and good morning. This is Kirsten Berlin, and my question is directed to the members of the LPC board. I am a licensee applicant in Texas, an LPC in North Carolina, and an NCC. I submitted my application in May. I'm still not licensed. I've found my processor to be unresponsive. It's been a month since I've heard anything, and I'm just wondering what more can I do on my end, and can I get some assistance with this, please? I understand I'm just one licensee, and you guys are looking at overarching problems and finding solutions, but I do need some responsiveness.
Olivia, what is your last name?
My name is Kirsten Berlin, Berlin.
Okay. I will reach out to you.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, Olivia, would you like to do public comment? Olivia? Okay, no response from Olivia. Okay, that is all of our public comment.
Thank you, everyone. Let's go ahead and move on to item 17, items for consideration for future committee and board meeting agendas. I took down from Dr. Bradley's suggestion that we have a permanent or an ongoing agenda item on updates from BHEC. And I also have, related to Dr. Bradley's discussion, probably not an ongoing issue, but one that we're going to pay attention to, and that's the AG opinion regarding the non-discrimination policy, what the AG recommends and how it affects us. Does anybody want to fine tune either of those agenda items or suggest something else? Nothing at this time? Okay. Dr. Bradley, thank you for those items, especially the ongoing BHEC update. I think that one's going to kind of be cemented as a permanent item.
Thank you.
And agenda item 18, announcements. I know we have a TCA conference coming up, so let's get to announcements specifically on that and anything else that's applicable.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I know about is TCA at this point. We've received the invitation that's gone out to the board members. I don't have much else at this point for upcoming events for the board.
Okay.
This is Dr. Elder. I just want to say thank you to all of you who volunteered your time to serve on the panel for the LPC board update. I will be cheering you on from the audience so I can get my CEs.
Maybe Dr. Elder doesn't know you can't get CEs because you're a board member. So
I'm not speaking on the panel.
yeah, I don't care. Sorry.
I don't think you get to make that call, Mr. Taylor.
I'm just saying. I mean, it's conflict of interest, you know. Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe we can work out a deal.
Christina, as an aside, with with holiday season coming up, you have mailing addresses for each board member that you would be willing to share? You do? Okay. Personally, I would like that. I don't know if anybody else would, but if anybody that doesn't mind sharing their mailing address with me, I would like to have those.
I'll send an email and we'll get that all situated. So.
All right. Thank you very much. Anything else? Good work today, guys. Thanks everyone for their time. We're gonna do some good things, and it requires each one of us. We're a team of 9, a 9+1 with our executive director, but each one of you has specialties. Each one of you has expertise, and we put it all together in order for us to be the best possible board that we can be. So thank you very much for your time. At this time, I will call for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay, and a second.
Discussion. Sorry, I know that's unusual. Kenda Dalrymple raised her hand to make a comment. She is a regular attorney for the board. So I don't know if we want to entertain that or not. It is past the agenda item. So I just wanted to raise that.
I would hope we could entertain that. We're on schedule, so I would encourage the board to.
Nope, she went away.
Her comment.
Hold on, I think that was my fault. I'll find her.
Oh, okay. I'm always looking out for another.
Oh, she's back. She's back.
Oh, okay. I don't think we have to have a motion on this. If you want to add her in, we can include her on a public comment.
Yes.
One quick question. Those of us that live and die by your calendars would like to know when the next scheduled meeting is.
Next meeting is February
12th.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Happy holidays, everyone.
You as well.
Okay, anything else? Now, another motion to adjourn. Janie, you want to do it again?
I still move that we adjourn.
Okay, and a second.
A second.
Thank you, Dr. Elder. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. Everybody have a great day and a great weekend. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.